Welcome to the Steelers Realm Podcast. And now, here are the boys of Steelers Realm.
Well, hey, Steeler Nation, welcome back to another episode of Steelers Realm Podcast. One of your hosts, JT, joined by the threesome here tonight of Steelers Realm. Coming off a game against the Jets. Hey, it's a Monday night. But we're here to lick our wounds and talk about it. And to join us from the other side of the state border over in Browns country, it's the famous TA. Hey, brother. What's up, man?
JT, how are you, buddy? Halloween is in the air.
It is.
You know why?
The weather is, anyhow.
Well, not only that, buddy, but Tomlin went ahead and opened up Pandora's box. There ain't no closing it now.
It is open, and I'm sure we'll be digging in that to join us and help us out with that as well. Is CJ just down the street here. What's up, Rand? How you doing?
Not much. Tell you what, it is Halloween is in the air. Like you said, Pandora's box is wide open. So should be interesting.
It is. A new era begins, wouldn't you say? Yeah, we witnessed the transformation, the insertion.
I tell you what, 3.5 games of the Mitch Trubisky area just leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
Will there be more?
I hope not, because if so, that means Pickett's struggling or he got injured.
Yeah, kind of thinking that. What say you, TA? What are your instant reactions as we kind of dive into the Jets game? Thoughts coming out of it?
Instant reactions? I don't know. Anybody? I'm figuring right now Steelers Nation is all abuzz. Oh, my God, Kenny come in and he scored 14 points. Hoorah. Let's see here. My first pass was an interception. What a great way for your offensive coordinator to take good care of you. He joins the likes of Sam Darnold in 2018, Jameis Winston in 2015. And if we have any consolence, let's go ahead and throw in Brett Favre in 1991. Now, the only thing that those three quarterbacks have that Kenny didn't have was those all went for pick sixes on their first NFL pass. So I guess that maybe we have some consolence that his didn't go for a pick six, but at the end of the day, I don't know if I really want to be part of that crowd.
And to me, it's kind of one of those things where rookie quarterback, first throw, nothing short over the middle, nothing. We're just going to take a shot up to the worst wide receiver that I've seen when it comes to jump balls in my life.
Oh, what, you didn't like his effort that he put in for the Hail Mary as well?
Oh, that was even better. He got real vertical on that.
I mean, I was kind of hoping maybe we'd get to see Pickens in there, in the horizontal mode, but he looked like he was late to the party as well. So who knows what's going on in that offense coordinator's head, but I can't get excited, JT. I really cannot get excited. There was nothing that changed when Kenny came in. I mean, and I want to see KP succeed. I want to see him succeed. I'm fearful of his life now that he's going to be added to that list of quarterbacks I just named. And we might as well go ahead and throw in a few other ones. Like, I don't know, Mitch Trubisky. How about 12 of the Browns' number 1 draft picks? You want to pick a name? Johnny Manziel? Hell, it's been so many, I can't even remember them all anymore. because they were all one-hit wonders because of bad offensive coordinators. And we are getting ready to follow that yellow brick road. I hope I'm wrong, JT. I really hope I'm wrong for that kid, because he really did bring in a spark. He did bring in an attitude. I'm not going to say he didn't, but if you don't have an offense coordinator, does it really matter?
Well, maybe not, but let's be honest here. Tomlin achieved what he was set out to achieve, which was spark something, right? Sparks. It's time for a spark. Just like a good hockey coach knows when to change goalies just to spark the team, or when a good defenseman just knows when to drop the gloves, make a statement to his teammates, and uh, break it down with one of your opposing players, and it's just it was time for a spark. That's what Tomlin did, and yeah, it has its drawbacks. Certainly, the team does. But
Okay,
what are you going to do? What was
so
the
let's-
other alternative?
So
Just go
what
with
was
the rest of the boring game?
you might as well, because what was that spark?
Why? Why would you
What,
might as
what,
well?
what was the spark? I mean, because I didn't see the defense come alive. Matter of fact, I seen him give up a 14-point lead.
No, well, the offense certainly had a spark in it, and so did the crowd in the stadium. If you
Okay,
look around.
the stadium, maybe we didn't have to listen to the Kenny cheers.
I disagree that things didn't change. There was there was an offensive spark. Prior to this, we touched on this Thursday. The Steelers were second in 3-and-out percentages throughout the first 3 games. In the second half, there was no 3-and-outs. They continually moved the ball. They did a nice job. Obviously, you want to cut down on the turnovers, but there was different parts of the offense that I saw that was completely different from Mitch.
But wait a second, let's back that up. You're right. We didn't have a 3-and-out. So the only thing different was Kenny running for the first down.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
That's the only difference. The play broke down. I didn't have the underneath route. I didn't listen to what my coach said because it really wasn't there, and I took off running.
Well, how many times have we seen what took place early in the fourth where he stood in the pocket, didn't shy away, throw off his back foot, and hit Moose over the middle? How many
Yeah,
times
he
have we
almost got
seen?
killed.
Jesus. How many times have we seen Mitch do that? I'll tell you, 0.
No, Mitch took a couple hits there in the first game against Cincinnati.
Yeah, thrown off his back foot.
Well, either way, he's still stuck in the pocket and he threw it. Now, mechanics is a whole different thing, and those were even completed. But at the end of the day, this is going to be an uphill struggle because we're sitting here at 1-3. And let's face it, this isn't the first time we've started out 1-3. Hell, this has been a Tomlin. This has been part of Tomlin's whole career, going back to 2010. We have had bad start after bad start. Now, the good news is October's here. We play good October football. Bad news is the teams we got to play, 12-3, all total record. Something better change, and it better change fast. And we're going to need more than a spark where you can burn this thing down. Because at the end of the day, that little tidbit that got put out on Sunday night from Juju Smith, I might have to tend to agree with him that he learned more about the offense in the last 5 days with Kansas City than he did in 5 years with Pittsburgh. Because when you look at it, who do you have for a coordinator? Matt Canada, untrusted. Fichtner, we already knew Fichtner, the only reason he got his job was due to the simple fact that was Ben's buddy. And then you had Todd Haley, which, by the way, was the only year that Juju really came on strong. But was it Juju? Was it Todd Haley? Or was it because he had Antonio Brown? So what I'm getting at is this offense is horrid. And it does start with coaching.
Well, I mean, do you want to just dive into it? We were going to save this for a little later, but the offensive staff that they have assembled, and the most 2 important people, because you
know
are
what?
right.
Before,
It is
before,
bad.
before we do that, though, and hey, Bubba, what's up, man? Thanks for checking in. Bubba says our defense won't help us at all. Yeah, well, we're going to get into that too. But come on, guys. We all know this is a rebuild year. We've got bits and pieces here and there. I don't disagree with what you're saying, TA. But what a difference from the other night. You were pretty pumped up, and now you're pretty the other way. But hey, we all are. Steelers Nation is. But this is a rebuilding year, man. What did we expect from a Trubisky-led offense? We expected him to manage the game, right? And that's about all he did. But we have to expect this.
I kind of disagree on the rebuild.
I disagree on both of them, JT.
Come on, look how many different pieces are here.
Because when you look at it, you went out. You go out and you've put together an offensive line. Those guys that we have on our offensive line, I'm not saying they're all pros, but they're not duds either. You got more than enough skill position players on this offensive line, but you don't have a coach who's putting them in the right position to succeed. I look at that young man, Zach Wilson, who came off the bench basically because of a knee injury. He came on and he looked on fire. His coaches put the wide receivers in wide open spots, ate up our defense like it was nothing short that everybody else has been doing. The only thing they really truly struggled with against us was the run. But from a passing standpoint, man, Zach Wilson ate us alive, and we've made every quarterback we've played so far this year look like Joe Montana. That's from the defensive side of the ball. And from the offensive side of the ball, when you have a first down and you still continuously show it or throw it 2 yards short of the sticks, come on, you're not putting your receivers in there. There's nothing razzle-dazzle about this offense. There's nothing fancy about this offense. There's nothing about this offense that makes me scream, we're going places. Let alone some of the idiotic calls that are called during the game. So, no, I disagree 100% with what you're saying.
That it's not a rebuilding year. Oh, my God.
I don't think you can classify it any time on the defensive side of the ball when you have Hayward, Minka, and Watt. And you spend money on Jack, right? There's 4 guys. And then, let's be honest, the secondary's been decent. Since we've lost Watt, we'll just hop into the biggest concern.
They've been decent whenever we get pressure on the quarterback.
Well, we went up against the
when we don't
and 7th string tackles, 6th and 7th string tackles, and it was pathetic, absolutely pathetic.
Well, the money they spent on the defense, minus Watt now isn't looking all that hot, unfortunately. I mean, to give up as much time as we did in 2 drives and then come out, we did nothing with the ball, and then give them 2 drives to score 2 touchdowns at the end. We made a rookie quarterback look like a 10-year veteran out there, like we seem to do all the time.
If you want positives, JT, out of this, if that's what we're looking for to make this a feel-good family show, here's your positive. We held on to the ball.
Well, we don't want to make it a boo-hoo, woe is us, jump off the bridge show either.
We held on to the ball for a whole whopping 2 seconds longer than the Jets.
Oh, my.
And not only that, we completed 1 more first down than the Jets. Hoorah.
Yeah.
Hey, they even went for it on 4th down.
And we got it. You're right.
We did.
The QB sneak is back in the playbook, guys.
That's right. We've seen 3 times. We saw something 3 times in one half that we hadn't seen in 2 seasons.
Hey,
a quarterback sneak on a 4th down and a quarterback sneak for a touchdown. Not to mention,
honestly,
nice little rollout.
Tomlin is still consistent on not winning challenges.
I think that was a worthy challenge.
Really? You couldn't tell that his toe was out of bounds?
I mean, in
telling
the situation where the offense is, and how they've looked, it was worth it.
And then that losing that timeout come back to kind of hurt us too.
Yeah.
Because we could have used that timeout.
Yeah, you're right, but we still got points before the half.
We did get points before the half. And who
Now,
got that?
The Jets defense for being dumb. The Wizard of Oz, which, hey, good for him. There's a
By the
positive.
way, that's our MVP of the game right there. MVP Boz. 59 yarders. He nailed it. Set the record. Got Tucker off of the list. Thank you, Boz.
It's
about time he owns that. And he did it in the open end of the field, open end of the stadium. I want to go ahead and throw out there for all you listeners.
Impressive, definitely too.
Two more
before we jump into some positives. Sorry, CJ. Hey, just wanted to mention, stop by SteelersRealm.com and our latest blog page. We're starting to get some great stuff in there, and also check out the latest dropped baller of the week, and along with some other great commentary as well too. And for chance for you to also post us what your thoughts are too. If you've got a story to tell, we'll gladly put it up there and share with Steeler Nation. So before we get into positives, we going to mention something, CJ? I'm sorry, buddy.
No, you're good. That's what I was going to kind of pop into right there. That works out. I thought personally the run game was a little better, more specific. I thought Najee looked a little bit more make quick decisions, not try to hit the home run and take what was there.
I agree with your thoughts on there. TA, what did you think of the run game? TA, what were your thoughts on the run game?
That was my answer, JT.
they showed a graphic.
I'm unimpressed. I'm just unimpressed all around the board. I mean, even when you look at the offensive line penalties, I mean, here we go again, another ineligible man downfield. I mean, how many times do we have to have a penalty for an ineligible man downfield before we correct that? I mean, once, okay, that's an accident. Twice, that's on purpose. 3 times, you just don't care. There's just no discipline. There's no coaching. There's no training.
No, I completely agree with it. It's the most maddening thing when, there is an RPO called, right? You know it's coming. Quarterback's got to make a quick read and throw it away or hand it off, right? But, I mean, come again. We'll get into the idiocy of the most 2 important people on this staff right now.
So, as far as run game goes, I would love to see more of Jalen in there. You want to talk about a spark? It seems like when Jalen comes in, that creates a spark on the offense. So maybe we should start him instead of Najee.
I think you're a little premature on that, but
why would I be?
I'm going to tell you, because I do see the benefit of having a 1-2 punch there. Now, I will say this. Najee seemed to hit the holes harder and faster. I'm sure there were some comments made in the film room about, just like you said, quit trying to hit the home run and just hit the hole and try to make something out of it. Had several nice little runs along the way, too, and that's what we needed out of him. But no doubt we need that out of Jalen Warren, too.
So let me ask you another question. What's the purpose of a fullback? I'm a little confused in today's NFL. What's the purpose of a fullback? Can somebody
depends on who you ask? The Steelers.
I got 2 of you guys. I'm asking you 2. I'm asking you 2.
From a general sense, right? To take out the linebacker and hopefully get upfield enough, right? To take out that second line of defense.
Yep.
And I don't know. I would rather just put Gentry in an H-back role.
So can you tell me why when we brought our fullback in, we threw him on wheel routes?
No one's expecting it, baby.
Is that the misdirection? Is that the misdirection that we're supposed to be looking for?
Is the smartest man in the room. He's smarter than Salah. He's smarter than Bill Belichick. Don't question this man. Do not
Okay.
question that
All right.
man.
All right.
I'm going to keep it happy in here. How about our man George Pickens? Went 6 catches for 102 yards. Digest Player of the Week, no less, as well, too.
I mean, they didn't really have too many people to choose from.
And let's face it, old George, he worked for them 102 yards because there wasn't a decent pass thrown to him
Yeah.
No, I thought
that
the
he
back
didn't have to
shoulder,
work for.
that back shoulder fade, that kind of shows you how good he can be. That catch.
Are we sure that was? Are we sure that was a back shoulder fade? Because if he'd have thrown it a little bit further, he might have been able to catch that and run it all the way into the end zone.
No,
Look at
I'll watch
JT
replay,
shaking his
but-
head. Because he had a step on him and he had him beat. If he'd have thrown it, would he have
If he
caught
let
it?
him.
Now, if it was a back shoulder throw, I'll give that to you, CJ. That was a beautiful back shoulder throw. I'm just not quite sure that's what was intended.
True.
watching the replay right now. But
So-
no, I think it was important though too. We see with Pickett the chemistry he already has with Pickens and clearly Freiermuth, and something that Mitch was missing with pretty much everyone other than DJ on a throw to the outside.
Okay, here's another prime example. Because I'm thinking this when we're trying to drive the ball down to at least get points on the board. You have one timeout left. Okay, you knew you had 12 seconds? We knew we could use the middle of the field, call that timeout, and then it had to be an out pattern. Had to be an out pattern, right? Why would we go down the middle of the field a second time and then have to rely on the Hail Mary? What was so trickery about that?
Nothing. But he's the smartest man in the room. Smartest man in the room.
Okay. And since we're on positives, I am glad to see that DJ is taking the higher road here and is acting like a true professional and not airing dirty laundry out there for the public to hear, instead of sulking by his locker in total disgust on why he only had 2 receptions on 4 targets.
It's the DJ show. You know what I said? I said it in the group. I don't think he's better than someone like a Marcus Wheaton. I think he's a product of a high volume of targets. He does some things well, but he led the league in drops for 2 years over a combined span of 2 years. He's Marcus Wheaton.
And let's face it, one of those drops this week resulted in an interception.
No, that was smooth. Oh, yeah,
no.
you're thinking the first one. You're absolutely correct.
Oh, yeah, I know what I seen. Yeah. I might getting old and I might be senile, but these glasses are still ringing true here, buddy. No, I am finding a hard time right now knowing that we played the lonely Jets. And when you look at this team on paper from front to back, we have talent on this team. There is no doubt about it. And I even said last week, hey, look, we win. I'm not going to get too excited, not going to get too high, because in all reality, this should be a practice game to get right. And instead, we opened up Pandora's box because we couldn't get right.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And look at it. We've ripped Matt Canada. I've said before, he's been fired from the following programs, college programs, right? NC State after 1 year. LSU after 1 year. Wisconsin after 2 years. Hell, the University of Maryland fired him after 2 years. Come on. And now he's an NFL quality offensive coordinator. Come on.
I would say quality.
To make matters
I wouldn't use
worse,
that word in that sentence.
it was a sarcastic quality. And to make matters worse, Mike Sullivan fired from the following after 1 year: the Giants, the Bucks, For some reason, the Giants brought him back again and then fired him midseason. And then the Denver Broncos. So those are your guys in charge of developing your rookie quarterback. Then we crapped on the defense. Our defensive coordinator was fired by the Lions. And then he got the Bengals job. I want to just read this off. You can't make this stuff up. On November 12th of 2018. No, you have to listen.
I think the point's been made, but go ahead.
Terrell Austin was relieved of his duties of the defensive coordinator after the Bengals defense became the first NFL team in history to give up 500 yards in 3 straight games. And he's the defensive coordinator.
So,
think about that.
Shot of confidence in him. Side note here. Speaking of groups earlier, you guys mentioned the group there. Stop by Steelers Nation, local number 724 on Facebook. Cool little Steelers discussion group. Good stuff. And none of the BS as well, too. So, yeah, what about on defense, boys? Minka continues to be just about everywhere on the field. We saw some of the blitzes by the corners be effective too. Wasn't Millett in on one of those blitzes?
Millett was in there on multiple blitzes, whether it be getting to the quarterback or stopping the running back in the backfield. Having that little corner blitz coming off the slot was huge. It was great to see that added back into the program.
Yep.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
And quite honestly, you know what? I understand that they're trying to come up with different ways for TJ, to fill that void. And quite frankly, I love the fact that they went ahead and they had Highsmith over there on the left-hand side. And Highsmith did not have a bad game. He added another sack. But let's face it, that was the only sack we got the entire game. The only sack. Now, we had quite a few, tackles for losses in the backfield. We got in there and we did what we needed to do. But that front line is just not getting it done. I mean, just going off the front line alone, 4 tackles Wormley, 4 tackles Leal, 3 tackles Obi-Wan Kenobi, 3 tackles Hayward, 2 tackles Adams. Now, who was our high tacklers again? Miles Jack, who, by the way, has just been an utter stud. Could you imagine if we had somebody else to play beside him? And then who's number 2 again? Minka Fitzpatrick, leading up there at the top. And then Arthur Mollett, because, again, that guy just plays with spunk. He's not the most athletic. I've said it time and time again, but, man, that guy plays with more heart than anybody I've seen on this team. And then you throw in Norwood, who, by the way, came in for an injured Terrell Edmonds and still ended up with 7 tackles. So, and then you throw in Bush with 6. So I can't say too much about Bush because all 6 of those were solo tackles. Not one of them was an assist. So kudos to Bush, but you got to get more out of that defensive line.
No,
you can't have them hitting that second level continuously.
And I thought it was disappointing, you're up 14. You can really pin your ears back and get after the quarterback. They're on their 6th and their 7th string tackles. These guys were practice squad guys up until last week. They're relatively unknowns. There was no reason that Reed, like you said, I agree that Highsmith had a very nice game, but they just didn't make that one big play. It's like they looked around, okay, Hayward's going to do it. Leo's going to do it. Highsmith's going to do it. And that big play from the line in the pass rush just never showed up.
Yeah. Well, hey, guys, we're kind of coming up against the clock before we get into our next segment here, breaking down the, our biggest concerns. We touched on a lot of those. interesting to see how we came out of that physically too, TA. But hey, I want to give a big shout out to Pittsburgh sports artist Willie Hobbs. Make sure to check out his artwork at mytimeyourtime.com. Check out the link at the bottom of the podcast or video, and check out a man, Willie Hobbs. So coming out the other side of it, how did notable? I know Cam was nursing a little bit. What was it? Was it ankle and an elbow?
Yeah, he said an ankle and an elbow. Then we mentioned Edmonds' concussion. He's in concussion protocol right now. Minka left with knee injury, came back. And then Cam Sutton, hammy. Looks to maybe be a little bit more of a long-term thing.
Well, those can be. It can be nagging. Yeah. Well. So, what are we going to do with this coaching staff, guys? I mean, is this just like a total mismatch here?
I mean,
does it start on the offense? What? I mean, there's enough fingers to go around, finger pointing to go around.
Mm-hmm. I guess. The narrative has always been that Steelers just don't really spend a lot of money on their staff.
So and let's just throw this out, okay? The next 4 games we have up right now: Bills, Bucks, Dolphins, Eagles, going into the bye. Okay, if we end up going 0-4, is this now just an easy scapegoat to blame it on our rookie quarterback? He's learning. We're going to give him time to develop. Or do we honestly look and evaluate and say, I have a problem with my coaching staff? What's the narrative going to be going into the bye? In all honesty, because out of those games, the only one that we might be lucky with, depending on the Tua situation, is the Dolphins.
Yeah, and you figure that 3 weeks from now, he could be back. But I think it's more of a they're going to paint it like you said, rookie quarterback development, so on and so forth. I don't
know what everybody's afraid of using the rebuilding thing because 2/3 of this team has been replaced. But no, initially it did look pretty hopeful, guys. Especially I remember talking with Bill Hillgrove when we had him on, and we all felt the same way, that they would surprise some people, but they haven't. So, am I surprised they haven't surprised us? No, I'm not surprised.
It's a game of inches, right?
That's it.
Olszewski catches that punt. That game's probably a little different. It's crazy. One play could completely change your season.
Okay.
Since then, it's been a disaster.
What's the play that we lost on 14, gave up 14 points?
It would have been just the last drive. That whole entire last drive.
Lack of.
I mean, they marched it down the field. What, 10 plays, 65 yards?
And here's the other thing I'm tired of hearing is, well, they really came out and they seen what we were doing and they made adjustments, and it took us a minute to adjust to the adjustments. I don't hear anybody talking about us making adjustments.
We brought a new quarterback out on the field at halftime. Come on.
That was an adjustment. Okay.
That was it.
I stand corrected. I stand corrected. I'm sorry, Steelers Nation. I stand corrected.
No, but I do think there needs to be an inner looking reset on what they're trying to accomplish at the bye week. And I thought, and as I said, you had like a mini bye. You had 10 days to prepare for the Jets, right? If you're going to make Kenny your starter after one more bad half, Mitch Trubisky football, he should have been the starter taking first team reps all freaking week.
have a hard time arguing with that point. What about you, TA?
I'm just, I am utterly concerned for KP. I'm just, my head cannot fathom or wrap around what we're about to see. And anybody who listens to the show knows that I'm usually the upbeat, I'm the cheerful guy, I'm the guy that's, glasses half full, not half empty. And I know I sound like a woe is me downer tonight. I'm here to tell you, JT, right now, I am literally afraid for this kid and what he's going to have to do to run for his life, and hoping we do not put him in a bad situation to either A, mentally scar him, or B, physically scar him. Because the thing that we forget is when Ben came in 2004, we had Jerome Bettis. Okay. We have a Najee Harris. We had only two real weapons on that offensive skill side of the ball when you think about it. And that was Hines Ward and a tight end whose name was not. Do you know who I'm going to say?
Let it rip.
Is Bruner. So it wasn't even who everybody's thinking. Those were our two top people at the time. And yes, we had a pretty stout offensive line, but we were pulling, we were trapping, we were getting a push off the line. And then even on our defense, we had Dick LeBeau, and we had some pretty good defensive players. Now, if all of a sudden, let's say after the bye, TJ comes back, holy smokes, the cloud lifts off of Acrisure Stadium. It disappears, the sun shines, and we start winning ball games again. Hallelujah, TJ. But one man doesn't make a defense. And if one man does make a defense, then thank goodness Colbert left when he did, because he left us in a terrible shape.
Just one thing before we wrap this up that I want to kind of touch on your point, the big difference. Back in 2004, that team was chocked full of veterans that have been there and done it, and you had leadership. Tell me right now who the leader of this Pittsburgh Steelers team is.
You know what, CJ? I cannot argue that with you, and you're right.
That's a good point. Yeah,
we had a bunch of leaders. You are absolutely right, and probably the biggest one was probably the bus.
Mm-hmm.
Jerome took him under his wing. But at the end of the day, leadership is still within every individual. So whether it's Minka, whether it's DJ, whether it's Chase, whether it's Cam, even Miles Jack, for Pete's sakes, somebody needs to dig deep and pull this team together. Because right now, it's just like we said before, they're playing without an identity. There is no identity on this team.
All right, that's a good point. That's a good point. But they do have the leaders in there. They have Cam, the defense. They've got TJ, even though he's off. He's still a leader in there. But, I mean, you have to, look at the whole thing with the T-shirt and Mr. Pittsburgh guy, Cam, certainly. So, yeah, they got to pull it together, man. We're 4 weeks in. I was saying at the other last week, I was saying, man, looking ahead at the schedule, if we ended up 1-7 after the Philadelphia game, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, unless we turn this around, and it takes more on the quarterback. And that's my final 2 cents on. It's going to take more on the quarterback to turn this around, however we do it. So, just my 2 cents. In around the north, 2-2. Browns lose to the Falcons. Falcons ran for 203 yards. They had, is this right? 7 passes.
Yep, 7 for $1 billion.
The Bengals atoned. They won on Thursday night. Of course, that was Tua went down with his second concussion within a certain number of days, or supposedly. Ravens lost 2. Last second field goal to the Bills 2. So 2-2, 2-2, 2-2. And then there's the Steelers, 1-3. So I don't know, guys. Have to turn it around. We'll be digging into the Bills game coming up Thursday for Sunday's Bills game up in Buffalo. But I don't know. Any last minute thoughts? Last minute?
Yeah.
Sense?
I mean, looking at what's going on, I mean, what do you think's going through the Ravens' head right now? We talk about our woes. The Ravens haven't been able to hold on to a lead to pull a game out all season long.
No, they blew it again. You know, I don't know if you guys saw, but they went for it. They were up 17 again. And obviously the Bills came back, but they had a chance to kick a field goal with about 5 minutes left. There at the 1 yard line, and they went for it. And there was a very interesting play call that resulted in an interception. There's been a lot of talk. Should have they took the points? Should have they just, was the decision right? But there's a lot of second guessing themselves in that organization right now. Not only for their on the field play, but right now, Lamar's favorite pass catcher, that trade to Arizona, and things just don't look too right in that wide receiver room right now for them.
Well, let's hope their mayhem continues. Love seeing it. So, last 2 cents, TA.
Well, the good news is that Tomlin's record in October is very favorable. And I haven't given up hope or belief in Mike. I still think Mike's a damn good coach, but I think Mike really has to kind of look, is it his players or is it his staff around him? And if he really feels confident in his staff around him, then he's got to ask this question: why aren't my playmakers in a position to make plays? And I can't necessarily blame it all on quarterback play. And we're probably going to find that out over the course of the next 3 games. I just hope that Omar is already scouring to see what we can do to change this. And then from the defensive side of the ball, I don't know how you guys feel, but I was really hoping that Flores was going to be a buffer for Terrell Austin, and I'm just not sure I see that.
I was hoping so too, and I think that was kind of one of those things they brought him in. Austin's been with the organization since, I believe, 19. We gave him the job, but we don't want to take it from him. You know what I mean? I don't know. Austin's never been a good defensive coordinator at any stop. I don't know why he would start now.
Well, time will tell, gentlemen. In the meantime, guys, have a great rest of your week, man. Let's hope that things pan out positively as we work towards our Thursday podcast. Bring it to you again, a pregame of the Bills coming up. So we'll be pumping that out live over Facebook, Twitter, and our YouTube channel too. So looking forward to getting together like we do every time, every Monday, every Thursday in season, guys. Have a great rest of your week, man. Steeler Nation, careful in the hot tub. We'll see you next time. We're out of here.
See you guys.
Steelers Nation, keep your chin up. There are brighter days in Pittsburgh ahead. Most importantly, pray for KP.
Check back next week into the Steelers realm.